So today's video is a spicy bit of three-way action, your mum's favourite, as I compare and review three affordable new Xiaomi 2024 blowers. The Redmi Note 13 5G, the Redmi Note 13 Pro 5G also, and the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, with the 5G of course. And despite an affordable UK asking price, all three boast a poppy, punchy, gorgeous AMOLED display. You got a big old battery and at least a 108 megapixel camera. But which one's best for you? Well, let's check them out, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Okay, so with the tasty trio all lined up side by side, you'd probably kind of struggle to work out which was which. Certainly from this front end, the one clear giveaway is the fact that the Pro Plus has a slightly curved display. It's quite subtle, but it is a bit of a giveaway. Whereas its Redmi Note 13 siblings have completely flat screens, which is actually more fashionable in 2024. Even Samsung's mega expensive Galaxy S24 Ultra has dropped those curves. But thankfully, I haven't had any issues with responsiveness here on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. No matter how tightly I clutch it, it doesn't seem to bulk up that screen sensitivity. And besides that wee feature, the Redmi Note 13 series all look very similar from the front end. Very skinny bezels surrounding those displays on all three. Got the same dinky wee selfie cutout orifice up top. However, pick them up and flip them around to the arse end and the differences become more clear. The actual materials don't change, it's placky through and through from the frames to those back ends. Although the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G does come in a leathery style option. It's fake leather, of course, as you might expect, but it does boast a lovely soft touch finish. And as you can see there, each family member boasts a distinctive design. Quite a standard design here for the regular Redmi Note 13, although available in a small choice of colours. I really like this blue model. Upgrade to the Redmi Note 13 Pro, and suddenly you've got this funky multicoloured camera bump and a different selection of colours. It's kind of a two-tone effect on this model. And then finally the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, in addition to offering that fake leather back, also does away with that camera bump entirely and just has the lenses jutting out of the arse. And again, you've got a curvy finish around here on the back of the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus just to make that grip a bit more comfy, whereas it's a perfectly flat finish here on the other pair. And these blowers do get progressively heavier as you upgrade towards the Pro Plus model, but it still doesn't feel particularly hefty, certainly not compared with some mega-sized rivals. As for protection, where you got Gorilla Glass 5 coating the display here on the regular Redmi Note 13, that's upgraded to Victus 2 for the Pro and the Pro Plus. And Victus is more drop resistant compared with Gorilla Glass 5, so less likely to shatter to bits if any of these buggers face plant a hard flooring. But it does still scratch up a bit, which is why I'm really happy that Xiaomi has slapped pre-installed screen protectors on all three. And also, while the Redmi Note 13 and the 13 Pro are merely IP54 splash resistant, you've got full IP68 action here on the Pro Plus. So this budget-friendly morpho can actually survive being dropped into a sink or a bath or something like that. Just give it a quick toweling off and all should be well. Now when you want to unlock your Redmi blower, it's actually an edge-mounted fingerprint sensor here on the regular Redmi Note 13. Whereas for the Pro and the Pro Plus, it is an in-display fingerprint sensor, just a basic optical one, but certainly does the job. However, if your digits aren't in optimum condition, they're a bit moist or a bit dry or whatever, the edge fingerprint sensor tends to work better than the in-display efforts. But all three of these phones do also offer face unlock as a backup option, which as you can see they're super nippy. Not quite as secure, but it's a good alternative. And hopefully, unsurprisingly, as they're all Xiaomi blowers, you've got the same MiUI 14 launcher slapped on all three. But yes, they will all be getting an upgrade to Xiaomi's latest Hyper OS launcher, which replaces MiUI. That's not coming until Q2 though, apparently, so sort of springtime 2024. And certainly, if you're used to MiUI, Hyper OS will look and feel very familiar. It's a similar sort of layout, very similar features indeed as well. It's just been built from the ground up again. Make it nice and smooth and fluid and energy efficient, and also take up less storage space. But anyway, I've already banged on at great length about Hyper OS in a separate dedicated video, so go check that out for all you need to know. And the good news is, in 2024, Xiaomi has finally sorted out its software support for more affordable phones like the Redmi Note 13 series, so you are guaranteed 4 years of security patching with all of these blowers. If you opt for the regular Redmi Note 13, you'll only get 2 years of OS updates, but you will get 3 with both of the Pros. As for storage, well, the regular Redmi Note 13 again lags behind the Pros a bit. You've got 128 gigs as standard on that, 256 on the Pro and the Pro Plus, but you do have the option of doubling up that storage on all 3 smartphones. And somewhat annoyingly, it's only the regular Redmi Note 13 that actually offers micro SD memory card support to expand that storage. So you can chuck in an extra terabyte if you fancy it. So now let's have a squint at those mighty 6.67-inch displays, and in all 3 cases, it's a bit of AMOLED action. It's a regular Full HD resolution here on the Redmi Note 13 5G. That gets upgraded to a sharper 1.5K resolution on the Note 13 Pro and Pro Plus. So you will enjoy some finer detail when you're streaming really high resolution video, editing your pics, all that kind of stuff. Xiaomi's Pro models also support Dolby Vision HDR streaming, and they peak at 1800 nits versus the 1000 nits of the vanilla Redmi Note 13. I find that the Note 13, the visibility is perfectly fine outdoors, as long as it's not a crazy bright day, but certainly if you live somewhere with a lot of sunshine, then you'll probably want to upgrade to a Pro model. The refresh rate maxes out at 120Hz on all 3 of the Redmi Note 13 series blowers. You can flip them between 60 and 120Hz manually, otherwise just leave it up to the smartphone itself. And as you can see there, the Redmi Note 13 Pro and Pro Plus actually allow you to specify which apps use that high refresh rate. As for that audio, well again, sadly the regular Redmi Note 13 5G lags behind its Pro siblings because it's only a mono speaker setup on here, no stereo output. Still pretty beefy though on that top volume. And more excitingly, some early leaks have revealed that an EU release is on the cards. And certainly loud enough for easy listening, even if you're in a quite noisy environment, i.e. one with shouty kids in it. Whereas on the Pro and the Pro Plus, it's a very similar stereo speaker output. And the newer phone also technically a wee bit lighter thanks to that titanium frame, although it's still a bit of a heifer. But if you want a bit more privacy for enjoying your videos, your audio or whatever, well the good news is on the Redmi Note 13 and the 13 Pro, you do actually get a headphone jack. Something that's even rarer these days than a funny James Corden movie. Unfortunately, if you happen to spunk out for the most expensive Redmi Note 13 blower, the Pro Plus, no headphone jack in sight. But yeah, all 3 serve up a good bit of Dolby Atmos support, and you do have the equalizer, all 3 as well, to tweak that audio output. Now let's chat performance, and yeah, it's a completely different chipset running the show on all 3 of these Redmi Note 13 mobiles. And from 2 different manufacturers as well, so it's MediaTek's more basic entry-level Dimensity 6080 here in the Redmi Note 13 5G. Got the almighty Dimensity 7200 Ultra stuffed inside of the Pro Plus. And then it's actually Qualcomm's Snapdragon 7S Gen 2 that runs the show here on the Pro model. Now with a bit of benchmarking, you'll see that unsurprisingly the Redmi Note 13 does lag somewhat behind those Pro models, although it reckons the Pro is actually more powerful than the Pro Plus, certainly for the multitasking shenanigans. And that's all the more surprising considering my Pro Plus has 12 gigs of RAM, whereas the other 2 just have 8 gigs of RAM. And it just further proves that benchmarking is total bollocks because it doesn't reflect the real world experience. So yeah, the regular Redmi Note 13 5G, unsurprisingly the least beefy of this trio, but still perfectly capable for everyday shenanigans, and you can do some light gaming on the likes of PubG, Call of Duty, etc. However, if you do like to get stuck into some more demanding fare like Genshin Impact, you will want to upgrade to one of those Pros. The Redmi Note 13 Pro 5G can cope with Genshin Impact on the sort of low to medium graphic settings. If you do boost them up to the higher settings, you will notice quite a few stumbles and judders here and there. That frame rate ain't exactly super fluid, but on the Pro Plus I had absolutely no issues running Genshin Impact even for extended periods on that highest graphic setting. It really was a stunning bit of performance. And yes, all 3 of these Xiaomi smartphones also boast the Game Turbo feature, which can be dragged out at any point with a quick swipe like so. This offers a performance booster feature. You can clear the memory, screenshot, record the action, all that good stuff. And yes, as those names heavily imply, you do have full 5G support no matter your choice. Now battery life, and it is a similar size of battery on all 3 of these Xiaomi blowers. 5100 mAh on the Pro, 5000 on the other 2. And yeah, I've noticed that Pro does enjoy slightly better battery life compared with the rest of the family, but honestly, no matter your choice, you'll make it through a full intense day on just a single charge. You won't be worrying about powering the buggers back up again at like 4 PM. You can easily get like 5-6 hours of full-on screen on time, good bit of camera play, bit of gaming, video streaming, all that good stuff before they finally conk out. Charging speeds are very different though. 33-watt charging here on the Redmi Note 13, so not exactly particularly nippy. You'll need to plug it in for over an hour to get a full charge. That gets upgraded significantly to 67 watts here on the Pro, much faster overall, and then ridiculously swift 120 watt fast charging on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. So just 20 minutes with a cable stuffed in it and it'll be back up to full. And if you fancy the idea of wireless charging, well, none of these phones do that, so I guess you're shit out of luck. And let's finish up this Redmi Note 13 family comparison with a squint at the camera tech. And once again, the Pros offer different technology to the regular Redmi Note 13. Got a 200 megapixel primary shooter on both the Pro and the Pro Plus, whereas the regular Redmi Note 13 sports a 108 megapixel shooter. Of course, picture quality isn't always directly proportional to megapixel count, although the regular Redmi Note 13 also doesn't sport optical image stabilization, unlike the Pros. You do get practically the same set of camera modes and features on all three of these devices though, including a dedicated Pro mode, a night mode, a portrait mode, and a high-res mode, which of course is 200 megs in the case of the Pros, 108 megs on the regular Redmi Note 13 5G. And frankly, even with that AI mode switched off on all three, you'll still get very different photo results at different times of day depending on which phone you're using. For instance, the tones on this photo of a lovely leaf couldn't be more different across the full range. In fact, I actually found the more accurate colours were generally produced by the Redmi Note 13 Pro. I gotta say, low light shots are a struggle with all three, especially if we're talking living subjects. Although those Pros do produce slightly brighter, sharper pics most of the time when you're shooting indoors or in the evenings. And they also handle HDR situations slightly more confidently. You got a basic 8 megapixel ultra wide angle shooter on all three Xiaomi handsets too. Again, certainly nothing to shout about, but it's there if you need a more pulled back view or a more dramatic angle. And of course, there's no telephoto shooter on any of these Redmi Note 13 blowers. The final lens in that triple lens setup is just a simple 2 megapixel macro snapper. In other words, a waste of friggin' glass. As for video, well, you can shoot up to 4K resolution footage at just 30 frames per second on the Pro models, but again, that Redmi Note 13 lagging behind, it can only capture footage at 720p or 1080p Full HD. And all three of these Xiaomi phones sport a 16 megapixel selfie shooter, which is absolutely fine. Does a pretty decent job of capturing your mug, even when it's fairly low light conditions, although obviously things start to get a bit noisy and yeah. So anyway, that, my lovelies, in a delicious wee nutshell, is how the Redmi Note 13 5G, the 13 Pro 5G, and 13 Pro Plus 5G all stack up against one another. So which of these sexy siblings are you most tempted by? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a really wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone. Love you.